All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are back for SAM Monthly Best Practices, and of course, we have our famous guest, Nicholas. Really appreciate
Hey, Mark.
having you here today. What's the topic for today?
Yeah, topic for today is a quite big one, which is migrating from FlexNet Manager on-premise to Flexera One ITAM Cloud. So all about what is the interest of doing it, how does it work, and all in reality of a project view and not just a sales pitch.
Great, awesome. So without further ado, we'll get started. If you have questions, put them in the queue. I'll happily share the questions as we go through. This is our time together. So if you see something of interest, send the question away and we'll go take it from there. Nicholas, back to you.
Good. Thank you, Mark. And so I will share my screen, and just be careful you may have two tabs in your web browser. So be careful. I'm going to share my screen and share a PowerPoint. Okay, hopefully you see the title slide, which is what you had anyway. But now let's go through the agenda. And thanks everyone for joining. We see many of you every month joining. That's exciting, and that's cool to stay in contact with and to be in contact with our customers. So the agenda will start with the previous session and the answers to questions. That was a session about Microsoft 365 integration and Adobe for the subscriptions. We will then go through the core topic of today, which is migrating from on-premise to the cloud with a sort of analysis of FlexNet Manager and Flexera One ITAM differences. We will then very in details check what are the potential barriers that you could see as a on-premise customer to migrate, and I will explain how these barriers have been removed. And I will go then through the migration process, step by step. How does it work? What do you do when you move from an on-premise instance to a cloud instance of ITAM? Good. So last month, back in August 1st, we had a session about managing and optimizing Microsoft 365 and Adobe subscriptions. I would actually stop my camera. Here we go. And let's share again. So the recording is on YouTube as every month. So if you click on this link, you will open the details of the session and have the full version. And if you go to this other link, we will upload the presentation on the Flexera community. And the idea is that we upload the presentation in the announcement post, which is on the community. So if you click on this second link, you get the full playlist, the SAM Best Practice Webinars playlist, and you can access the previous sessions back to 2021. So all the history, all the content that you can find is in these SAM Best Practice Webinars recordings. I will, so there were a number of questions, not so many actually. One was about getting the AD groups for computers. I presented and promoted the fact that you can use user AD groups to create licenses, named user licenses, and use the intelligent allocation feature, which is actually reading the result of the report. So you build your report with a list of users belonging to the, let's say, Acrobat DC Pro group, which is used for giving access to Acrobat in the Adobe portal. And the allocation will be automated every morning, and the license will count and have the right group of users for allocations. And the question was, that's cool, but I would love to have also that for computers, AD groups. in particular to exempt certain groups of computers because we manage carefully, in this organization, we manage carefully which server does what through AD groups and management groups. So my first answer actually I gave during the call was, oh, that would be good, but it would mean we need to extend the out-of-the-box integration between Active Directory and FlexNet Manager or ITAM. And I checked I checked today actually, this is possible because the data is already stored. So my answer is, until this is a feature in the product, having the ability to build a report which shows the computer and the related AD groups, you can contact me if you are on-premise, and I can implement that in a matter of hours. So that's the answer, and probably expect this to happen in the product, because when something is simple and we know how to do it, even a partner like me can provide and help on this productization of features. Second question was about the purchase information in SaaS Manager, which is unique. So there is a unique record for an application license purchase, while in ITAM, if you open a license, let's say the Microsoft E3 license, you may have multiple purchases over the time. And the question was, this is unpractical to get one on one side and many on the others. My suggestion was that SaaS Manager keeps the current entitlements, while in ITAM, on the license record, you can attach multiple licenses, which will show, for instance, over the time, your purchases. And these licenses will not actually impact the number of rights of the license. So that's something to try, but you can actually, at this stage, SaaS Manager and ITAM will not be aligned for the number of records, but the number of entitlements, which is read by SaaS Manager, will appear on the license in ITAM as extra entitlements. But you can keep the details of the past history of purchase by creating purchase orders and linking them to the license. It will not impact the count of entitlements. And the last question was about more an issue with Task Manager not getting purchase auto-populated. I would say this is worth opening a ticket in support. My experience with duplicated licenses that may happen when the SaaS Manager, for instance, recreated a connection to a portal. Of course, the ID of the license will be different on the SaaS Manager side, so you may have a new set of licenses on the ITAM side. The simple approach is to delete the ITAM deprecated licenses, which are no longer actually in SaaS Manager, and they should not come back. Voilà. Okay, so this is, and here, I just put a small screenshot of a quick check I made, but indeed, we have the computer AD groups stored in a database, in a table. So this is feasible to have a new reporting object. I'm moving on because this is all about migrating to the cloud. So let's move on. And first, I will start with a question. This is not a sales pitch. You may have seen a lot of presentations by many companies or software companies saying that cloud is the future of modern IT, and that's good, and that's true actually. But here today, you will have the true view and experience of somebody who has worked on 80 SAM projects as a consultant for 7 years with Flexera, who has designed the migration from on-premise to cloud. It was back in 2021. At that date, that was a little bit complex to migrate. It was a sort of a re-implementation. The things have changed thanks to technical evolutions. I've gone through some migrations with customers, and I'm preparing customers currently as a Flexera partner to migrate to the cloud. So I will say, this is, I would say it's more a project discussion and a services discussion than a sales pitch that says move to the cloud. Still, the first slide will look like a sales pitch, but I'm pushing open doors when telling you that the world is there is a cloudification, SaaSification, and complexification of the IT world. I will not insist on this slide that you probably have seen multiple times, but that's true. Customers are shifting from 100% on-premises architecture. It has been a trend for, I would say, a good 10 years. They are moving more and more to GCP, to Amazon, or to Azure. And this comes with new objectives and new challenges that people and IT organizations need real-time optimization for a new way of consuming licenses when the consumption is based on the actual number of transactions. For SQL, for instance, this is a different thing than just counting and understanding the number of cores. So there are new needs related to spend on the cloud, real-time consumption, digital architectures, which bring some complexity. And customers more and more have challenges with this complexity, and the estimation is that 32% of cloud spend is wasted because it's so easy to switch on a cloud instance in Amazon, for instance, web services, and it's so easy to forget to switch it off if you have, let's say, a time-based plan. So the complexity, the cost, everything is actually going up, and what people need is a way of keeping this under control. Flexera, in this global context, is also doing the same, which means that when I joined Flexera in 2013, I would say 100% of customers were on premises. My first SaaS project was in 2016. And now I would say 100% of new customers are cloud or SaaS customers. And the need and the strategy of new customers is to, of course, move to the cloud. There are maybe exceptions, of course, but that's a trend that also impacts existing on-premises customers, and that's why we need to deep dive into this topic. So let's start maybe with checking some differences. And I will start the differences with telling you that this is exactly the same foundation. That there may be a temptation to reinvent what ITAM is, and I would say there have been temptations some years ago, but the technology that supports the IT asset management processes is actually very aligned. Which is good news for migrating customers, which means also that there is no risk as an on-prem customer to move to the cloud and realize that everything has been redeveloped with a big risk of regressions, of course, or simplifications, because software asset management is quite a complex business. No, if you check the way purchase, recognition of application, contract licenses, web reports, and custom properties, for instance, or even Cognos work as a cloud customer in a cloud instance of Flexera One ITAM, this will be the same as what you have on premise. Navigation is different. I've put a screenshot of Flexera One on top. So this is a vertical navigation, which is practical when you expand the number of nodes and the processes that you manage. But beyond that, the content of the screens is the same. There are differences. I will insist on that, but I would say this is the same engine. This is the same logic. This is you have the same way of importing purchase, creating licenses. So you are not moving to a completely new world if you move from on-premise to cloud. But you're expanding the scope. That's what I call 1 + 1 = 3. Flexera One will elevate the possibilities to the next step. ITAM that we see here, this little magnifier, is a part of a bigger picture, a much bigger picture that Flexera One hosts. And in Flexera One, you have a number of modules. The first one I will insist on, which comes with ITAM, when you migrate to ITAM, is SaaS Manager. SaaS Manager, which is and that was one question actually last month when I talked about Microsoft 365 and Adobe. A question was, what are your connections? If we talk about the FlexNet Manager on-premise, I would say Microsoft 365 is the only one. There was a Salesforce connector, which I think has been deprecated because it was not doing the job. SaaS Manager, which is the application that connects to out of the box hundreds of cloud applications, SaaS applications, through REST APIs, and that can be adapted and connect to more, is the specialized tool that manages your SaaS applications, the inventory, the users, the usage, and that brings a lot. And this is part of IT asset management. So even forgetting about the bigger picture, we spend a little bit time on the bigger picture. ITAM includes SaaS, and the hardware asset management is actually no difference between what you get to manage hardware assets in ITAM, in Flexera One ITAM versus FlexNet Manager, but SaaS Manager is really a new and different and additional module. If we take a step back, and that's where you get the possibility for using more. If you move to Flexera One ITAM, you get this part. You get also the policy engine. I will come back to that in the next slide. A policy engine that allows to create any automation based on web services call. Typically, if a license gets negative, send an email to the manager of the license. That's a typical policy that you can set up in the policy engine. And this policy engine is actually transversal to each of the functional domains of Flexera One. What you also get and what you will get actually is a unified reporting data lake. There are some first reports which are today aggregating FinOps, a FinOps view of cloud spend and license spend. This is a big direction that will actually be a real plus for customers. The reporting capabilities of Flexera One, which expose the data through a data lake that can be queried through GraphQL, for instance, will include IT asset management, cloud, SaaS management, and IT visibility, which is I will come back to that, which is a more detailed view of your IT estates that includes application lifecycle management and end of life, for instance, obsolescence management. So as an ITAM customer, by migrating, you get SaaS Manager, reporting, policy engine, and the normalization actually, in your perspective as an ITAM customer, as a SAM customer, will not change a lot. This is eventually, technically, the stream of data may change a little bit, but the result will still be what you know today in FlexNet Manager, which is normalized application that will show the major version level. And now, if we think about what next steps you can do once you have migrated to the cloud, once you get Flexera One ITAM, you can easily extend to more value, to more business value. So I will start with IT visibility, which is actually the configuration management view of your IT estates that contains all the details. The normalization of applications is at release level. So the view that you get and the insights that you get with IT visibility go way deeper than what you get in FlexNet Manager or in ITAM, because the focus is actually not the same. This is about managing the configurations, understanding the IT estates, the vulnerability, and the life cycle obsolescence. The same data, I would say, scanners from the Flexera agent or from SCCM data, for instance, or Intune, will feed a database that contains a different normalization and a different level of normalization. So this is a nice extension to software asset management. As a consultant, I spent my life explaining to some customers that even if they want to understand the bit and bytes of the details, which you can do actually in ITAM with the view on the evidences, you can know this is called application transparency report. You can know which signature caused which application to be recognized. IT visibility will give you a more granular view, and that's a very natural next step to understand your IT estate. Just to finish on the plus, we're no longer talking about Flexera One ITAM, but if you move to Flexera One, you can also expand to cloud optimization, which includes cloud migration and modernization and cloud cost optimization, two solutions that will connect seamlessly to your cloud service providers portals, Azure, Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google, GCP. You will get all the data and all the invoice data, which is sometimes very complex and very massive. And this data will be ingested, normalized, and also summarized so that you get the big picture of your current costs for cloud, but also the optimization that you could do thanks to an optimization engine. So this is expanding, and you may not want to move to Flexera One Cloud just because you can have other solutions, but once you are moved, it's way easier because you just get additional solutions with no effort. I will now focus a little bit more on what SAM does and what you get in addition if you move to the cloud. So first, it may sound a little bit simple, but that's so important. You will be constantly in the last version of the application. And having worked in many projects, and I will insist in the next slide, a customer who today uses FlexNet Manager 2021 R2 or even 2020 R2, which is a recent project I worked on, doesn't have the same value and the same chances of being successful than a customer who works in the current version. So this may look not the core of your of the value you get, but getting the latest version, you get the latest features. And if the features and the plans, the roadmap is ambitious, you get something that you would not get by staying on an on-premise version, which is not upgraded. Second thing, which I discussed recently with the SAM manager of a large company, large IT company, who may be in this call, the burden of keeping security standards for the Flexera platform with an on-premise organization is higher and higher. Security, vulnerability, managing the certificates and so on. This is such a burden, such a complexity that this very large IT company, which actually has extremely high skills in FlexNet Manager, which has developers knowing SQL by heart and has done incredible things, that this company is thinking about moving to ITAM because that's not the core business of the SAM team to keep aligned with the infrastructure standards, and this is actually a true difference when you move to the cloud. I talked a little bit about SaaS Manager. Best is maybe that you have a look to one of the sessions that you have on the Flexera community about SaaS Manager. But SaaS Manager is a tool that has expanded a lot in the last years, which has included more and more connections to cloud applications, which even has an ingestion engine that allows you to connect to any source, and that has focused more and more in getting usage data. For instance, the activated features for Salesforce, the size of the mailbox for Microsoft 365 users. So you get a view which is extremely rich, and that allows you to take decisions which you didn't have with the classical FlexNet Manager, Microsoft 365 connector, for instance. So SaaS Manager is really, I would say, the big jump you can do because everyone needs actually to monitor SaaS applications without building custom connections. That's a real plus. A simplified beacon architecture. Not everybody thinks about that, but if you're a large company with a number of LANs which are not connected, you have an easier time to upload directly from each of the beacons to Flexera Cloud, than building a network in your company that will point in the end to the application server. So this is an easier, I would say, stream of the agents scans, for instance. The policy engine, I will not develop, but you can do basically anything provided the data is available through REST APIs. And these REST APIs, which you don't have on-premise, these REST APIs actually have been enhanced a lot. That's something I will address in the next phase about the barriers. But REST APIs expose any data you can get through creating a report, for instance. So then you can create a business rule that uses this REST API data to automate. It could be, running a script. It could be sending an email. It could be whatever you want. The policy engine is a powerful automation tool. A coming feature, at least for ITAM, ITV already uses this data lake. A coming feature is the ITAM data will be available in a data lake, which will allow cross-functional reporting. So typically, the typical use case, and actually it's a report which is already in the technology dashboard. How much am I spending with Microsoft? This is actually a big... okay, I just hope you hear me well. Do you hear me well, Mark?
Yes. In fact, there's a question, if you kind of on that last slide. Can you talk about the requirements of upgrading the agent to stay lockstep with the cloud being the latest version?
So there is a possibility in the agent settings. This is true on-prem as well as for cloud customers. You have the possibility to keep to have in the inventory settings an auto update of the agent. Basically, every time you migrate your on-premise instance, it will push a new package and will self-update the agents. If you are cloud, this update will be more often. On average, you have a monthly new version for the cloud version. But many companies that want to have a strict control over the agent change will actually deactivate this feature. So the cloud instance will support any backward version of the agent. I've seen customers deploying 2016 agents to inventory, let's say Windows Server 2003 servers. So there is no strict obligation to have the agent version aligned with the cloud version. There is a backward compatibility for the agent, but you have a choice, of course, to keep the agent up to date. And you will see in the next slide, I detail a little bit. A number of the enhancements are in the agent. The fact that you can collect GBoss advanced information or Java verified information, all of these go through the agent. So I would say it's good practice to keep an agent which is not too old, but this is not an obligation when you're on cloud. Okay.
Great, thank you. I think that was the last question.
Cool. The last thing I wanted to insist on about the cloud version of FlexNet Manager or the Flexera One ITAM, there will be, this is actually still to come, there will be a common ingestion engine between ITV and ITAM, and the agents will, if you are on-premise, you probably know that the import step is a very SQL-intensive part, where all the signature, particularly, the millions or the billions of file evidence and insider evidence are processed. The way data is imported into ITV uses microservices and a lot of Golang scripting, which is using cache data which is cached, and performance will be faster, just like the reconciliation, which today for cloud customers is happening using a slightly different, the same logic but a different technology. So this is something to keep in mind. The time for imports is positively impacted by moving, or will be more and more positively impacted by moving to the cloud. Okay, so I'm moving on. Hopefully all of this makes sense, and it's just not just slides and slideware, I would say. And I will make it, even more real with a recent experience I had. When leaving Flexera, when I was product manager in November, my first mission with a customer who was still, in 2020 or two. And I was frustrated because all the features I developed in between 2020 and 2023 were not in the tool. And really, as a SAM manager, as a SAM consultant for this company, I had some real challenges. So in the end, I recreated a lot of things which are out of the box through custom SQL reports and so on. But I was not able to answer the questions such as, how is my SAM project performing? The SAM Operations Hub got released back in, it was in 2023 R1, sorry. SAM Operations Hub, which is providing 13 KPIs, all the reports, all the performance that you need, and the trends that you need to understand if your data is reliable, if you have created the right licenses, if your licenses are well configured. All these things, that was impossible to answer the question and actually share with the other team members, except by running scripts and focusing on SQL or on Excel files. That was impossible to get that. Second thing, which is a big, the first hub that got implemented back in 2021, 2022, the SAM Optimization Hub answers the basic question, what could I optimize? It goes through a number of reports and scripts. It assesses your Oracle architecture. It suggests an optimized architecture and gives you the money you could save by moving your VMs to specialized clusters. The SAM Optimization Hub, again, was a big thing. Am I compliant is a nice question. How much could I save and how do I do it is an even bigger question. It's even an answer. And then that's what you can get and what you don't have if you're on-premise and stayed on an older version. Keeping, in this list of features, let's go optimal, which is actually the next step. You analyze with the SAM Optimization Hub, and some features got released, which really are worth being discovered. the intelligent restriction, the intelligent allocation, and intelligent exemption. The idea that you can use a report to define a scope. And that's one of the features I use more. Now I'm in projects and building licenses and computing optimal license consumption. Using these three features, you can actually automate and create a moving target, a dynamic target. So typically, I want to use Windows Server Data Center Edition only in clusters which have a density which is more than 13 VMs on average per host. This is something that you would need to redo everything every day if you were doing that with manual allocations. Here, you can create a report which eventually uses a flag because you can do more computation outside of the database. I will show that. And every day, this report is up to date and allows you to consume in an optimal way. So that's one thing. I would say it was even the biggest obstacle because here, there is no way you can recreate this intelligent restriction in an on-premise older version of the database. These features got added in 2023. Next question, what is my publisher-centric analysis? What do I do with Microsoft, with Oracle? What are my costs? This is something that the SAM Publisher Hub, released in 2023 R2, sorry, back in November last year, answers. That you get a full picture based on the publisher you decided to select. What are the deployed applications? What are the trends? What are the costs? These are things which you may not have if you are still even in 2022 or 2 or 2023 or 1. So all these features, which come so nicely, it's quite easy to go to.
So as you're going through, there's a question right on that topic. Yeah. We do like the SAM Operation Hub for the Flexera Agent KPI. Is there a way to set approved Flexera Agent version so that the agent version KPI is measured against what is approved versus against the latest version of the agent? That's one question. There's another one following that.
Yeah. So, I would call that the parameterization of the SAM Operations Hub. And I will show a little bit later that you can do sort of an equivalent of the SAM Operations Hub in Power BI because you can extract the data and do the computations. So the idea is, how do I set the limit? That's one thing that probably engineering, I got the request quite early after the SAM Operations Hub release. This is something that the engineering team could work on and the product management could plan. It was not planned when I left Flexera, but using a Power BI, you can actually, tune. So here, I did not create a parameter for the agent version, but here, you can say actually my target for unlicensed installations will be now 30%. And if you go back to this dashboard, which is computing, the unlicensed installations, for instance, the operations one, you will see that the unlicensed installation, the target has moved now to 30%. So the colors you get will depend on the parameter you set. So my short answer is, unfortunately, the SAM Operations Hub doesn't do it. I would say good Power BI solutions allow you to define. So here, I'm an admin, so I can change these parameters. Not everybody will influence all the others in Power BI, but this is not something that this is a good idea, and this is not something that is yet at this stage planned. So one thing is to open an idea. Maybe this one exists. I will give the link a little bit later, but this is typically an unanswered request.
Cool. And then there's another question in here that I think I could address. When can we
Okay.
expect the data lake features to be available for ITAM? And
Yeah.
a couple things. So here in Q3, Q4, we've had some early adopter customers that have been taking advantage of the data lake um, through ITV. So IT visibility customers that have early access. And so that's pushing and making its way for launch here in Q4, Q1. And then we also have a module on there that's taking advantage of ITAM that's called Cloud License Management. So for those that are into the cloud and trying to manage pay-as-you-go versus bring your own license, we have a module there that we were looking for customers for early access and helping us test that. And then I think in the Q4, Q1 is when we're digging into ITAM and setting that up. So more to
Okay.
come on target. And it looks like we have another question. Great. Keep the questions coming. How FNMS can be best learned and become expert? Please provide any links. I think you have a great start showing up to this call. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And that has been a focus for me for years and years to sort of enable customers. So if you go to the Flexera, that multiple ways you can access. But if you go to the Flexera community, there is one. So I no longer maintain it, being outside of Flexera now. But there is one knowledge base article, ITAM best practice. Okay, so this article, which I've shown 1,000 times when I was with Flexera, this article will show you everything that was in the vision. So first, you get all the best practice webinars. So up to session 2023, 1 hour 31, but the YouTube channel will allow you to access actually all the sessions. So you get, the summary of all the sessions, what happened, and then you get a view on each of the hubs. What was the view? What is the intent? What are the reports? Eventually, these reports are available as solutions if you're on-premise and not yet upgraded, but I would say move to the cloud and get the latest version. This document, will go through each of the hubs. So it gives you a good grasp on what has been implemented for actually the 3 years I was a product manager. And then, you get more documents on the bottom, which are about additional resources. So here, that was my try as a product manager to have any best practice available here. And then what you have in the community, so this is one pointer, I would say. And one thing that you have is the Learning Center, if you're a customer. If you have your login associated with an entitlement of a customer, you will get access to this. Oops, that's maybe I was not okay. So maybe it's down from maintenance. Okay, I try again. But you have here, a number of online course. But you see, getting started with Flexera Business Value. So here, maybe it still works. Okay, so you don't have all the. I'm sure you don't have everything right now. But there are some online resources for learning. And maybe the last pointer I would give is not info.gouv, but is NRSAM Consulting. So. I started this company a while ago, and because I love sharing best practices, I've delivered a number of sessions which start from the very bottom. So if I open this one, this is sort of the summary of all these sessions. And you see, dots connected number 1, how can you get... so basically it's starting from the bottom of the, what I will show later, which is the Maslow pyramid of SAM. How to have good inventory quality, how to then understand if the licenses have been correctly configured, So how to optimize licenses. All of these step by steps are detailed in these documents. So for instance, this one, which is how you can make licenses more intelligent. You will see, really step by step, how you can do things, which are the reports you can use, how you can do SQL Server optimization, how you can use allocations to make your licenses consuming a better way. I've been spending a lot of time trying to share this knowledge, knowing that there is a stage where you need me, but at least you can get a lot already in all these blog posts that I have in this NRSAM consulting site. Okay.
Great.
So,
yeah, thanks for addressing that. Yeah. No, that was good. That was good. And they had asked for some follow-up on some links, so we can do that as well. But as you know, you could probably start flexera.com, go to the bottom, there's community links, there's learning links. And of course, Nicholas's phenomenal work on his website. That's also awesome to help with.
Okay, cool. So maybe the link I was going to show, which is about the Flexera One ITAM feature by release. Just wanted to show that you can see everything that got released version by version, and just to be concrete. What happened, for instance, in November 2023, you got version 23R2 that got released, which has actually exactly the same content as 23R2 on-premise. So here you see the sort of monthly upgrade of the application that don't require a monthly upgrade of the agent. You can keep older versions of the agent. And you can, for each, see what happened. And there are alignments twice a year. Typically in March, where 2024, no, it was April this year. 2024 got released in, it was actually in June. And the 2024 version on-premise contains all the content that got released between 2023 R2 and 2024. Okay, so I just wanted to give this pointer, docs.flexera.com, the feature by release. Okay, I have to speed up a little bit if I want to finish. So SAM Publisher Hub, have a look. Each time, there is a link to the SAM best practice webinars I did on each of the topics. So once the presentation gets uploaded, you can actually, go from a topic to another thanks to the links. Java, of course, has been a big investment of ITAM when I was a product manager. So the idea that you can understand the transparency of your recognized applications for Java, but also for other applications. You can define some embedded path where you will sort of exempt from consumption anything which is, let's say, Java /client/ or bin client, Java, etc., which means that this is an Oracle database, for instance, client, which contains Java. You can automatically embed the path, which is absolutely necessary if you want to do a Java project. So being on the cloud, you don't even wonder. You may need to make sure that your agents are using the Java verified data, which is back from July 2023. So it was 2023 R1. But then, the UI allows you to do all the things that people who still run in 2020 R2 have no clue about. Okay, and the last GBoss, some extensions have been done on the agent for GBoss. Enterprise Business Suite, the Oracle Enterprise Business Suite now is verified. All these topics have been addressed in recent versions. And the last one I wanted to emphasize about the new feature that came recently is reflecting, the user AD group in a license consumption. That was the first question I started this call with, where the customer was asking, could we also have the the computer AD groups? But all this this one got released back in 2023 R1. So just to show the vision that happens, if you're still in an older version, ITAM for FlexNet Manager has always been solid. I worked in multiple companies in SAM. This is the most solid tool I've met in terms of design, scalability. This is really good, and features which have been released over the time keep on this trend. Capacity for recognizing applications, being verified, scaling, etc. What I've tried to do as a product manager is to make it even more clever and useful with a SAM optimization, with the intelligent restriction, cloud migration impact simulation engine. All these features make your SAM manager life easier. And then, that was a matter of showing the value and the summarizing the information in the SAM optimization hub, operations hub, and publisher hub. And of course, the data lake that I've put here. This is not. This is a recent addition to this slide. Will help making a step forward in the integrated story, which is as a SAM manager or as a CIO, I understand what are my costs for Microsoft, combining license consumption, combining SaaS applications or for on-premise SaaS applications as well as Azure spending. So this is a trend, and all these features I was mentioning are, you will have a look to this slide, but this is what I organized around the Maslow pyramid of SAM, which goes from the bottom, everything which is foundation, foundations to reliable SAM. And you will see the hubs in particular, which are helping understanding the data quality, SAM operations, and SAM data transparency. Actually, this one was not released. And then, going up the pyramid, you have more and more optimization features. So the SAM optimization hub typically is on top of once you trust the data you have, you can use the optimization and actually save money. Okay, that was a little bit for the features. So here, voluntarily, I've taken a provocative approach. You don't need to migrate if you have no, cloud migration for strategic applications. If you don't use SaaS applications, if you have no interest in application lifecycle and obsolescence, if you have no cloud instance or have no interest in understanding your cloud costs, and if unified reporting is not a need for you. And of course, I took an illustration that was provocative, but you may have good reasons for staying on-prem. Let's say you already have some tooling to manage your cloud applications and lifecycle management, application lifecycle. You may be a government organization which has no right to move to the cloud, but for sure there are many good reasons to move. And hopefully the project, if you have one, will move forward. And that's what I'm going to finish with. So first, one barrier to migrating to the cloud could be that there are some limitations. And there is no access to the database, the main one, in my view. I spend more time in my life in SQL Server Management Studio than in a web UI. So having no access to the database could be seen as a big barrier. Another thing is that the batch application server, which is managing the integrations, is on the Flexera Cloud. So anything about customizing the way you write data, you automate tasks with an additional step in the inventory is impossible because these XML configuration files are actually shared across customers. So you have a sort of a standard integration or write process. And the last limitation I would mention in a candid way is that the business adapter on the Beacon UI has no DB connection, of course, because it's generating files which are then consumed on the cloud instance of Flexera. So you have no way to do crazy SQL queries in the business adapter. That's a possibility if you have the full version connected to the database. You can do that. So these are limitations. And to be honest, when I started my first cloud project in 2016, I was very, very sad because it was making my life extremely complicated. But things have evolved a lot in the last years, and I've been very active on that part. First thing is REST APIs have been expanded, so the challenge you had to do data extraction have been removed by some REST APIs, particularly one which is called the reports execute. It returns any report data into a JSON file and the license consumption. And here, I've put some links to two community solutions which give you examples of using these APIs. So if you are a cloud customer watching this session, you will see that here you get the REST API information. Okay, and the other one is also in a solution in the community. And now the APIs even create records. This year, new APIs have been created which allow allocations. So if you go to the documentation of the REST APIs, you will see everything. And you see here these license, where is it? Device create. So you can create devices and you can create allocations. So, you don't need SQL if you have powerful, paginated, secure REST APIs. This is exactly what Flexera has and has developed in the recent years. And I would say, the business adapter is still a good option to create record in ITAM Cloud because you have any object exposed and it's quite powerful. So I'm not a big fan of creating record through REST APIs, but that's a possibility. And this is more technical, but you can customize a read step of an integration. This knowledge base article shows how you can customize, for instance, the Microsoft 365 usage data collection. And there is a full session on the community about customizing FlexNet Manager and Flexera One. So have a look to this session, and as a last option, you can open a support ticket if you want to run a specific query, which could be deletion or querying data. This is possible. Support doesn't love that, but this is absolutely possible. So in the end,
all right. Looks like we're at the top of the hour. I wanted to see if there's any last questions.
I have 2 more slides, maybe, just to finish. Okay. I'm finishing quickly. So as a conclusion, you can do automations and integrations in a very smooth way, even with Flexera One. So you can read the data using the REST APIs. You can write back using the business adapter, for instance, or the other REST APIs. And there is a full solution here that shows how you can manage your location through IP ranges. So this is a lot of SQL, but the SQL actually can happen in a staging database. As well, you can do Power BI reporting. This is the solution I was showing, provided you have built a powerful data lake with all the links and so on. You can then have the C-level dashboarding that shows the chargeback costs, as well as the operations reporting that will show your performance and your optimizations. Okay, and sorry, I may need to go over by 5 minutes because I have to show the how, which is really in 2 slides. But I have to show this part because this is the sort of conclusion. If an object is missing, you can. So most objects are exposed today. So you can read everything that is in the database, but evidences, file evidence, for instance, or the screens don't exist yet. So this is a gap we have today. You can write and but there are still missing objects such as the consumption for a custom metric license. So you can open a request in Flexera IDs, and to fix the read part, we could create, or Flexera could create a new API or a new reporting object that will be exposed then through the reports execute. And on the right side, the Business Adapter Studio could be extended, or the new API, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. So the process to move, basically, you need to, the approach that Flexera takes to migrate customers is to keep the business data and not restart from scratch and ask you to start an implementation into the cloud instance. So the technical migration consists in 4 simple steps: backupping your database, cleaning up your data, particularly the history data, migrating your database to the latest version, which may be slightly different or very different in the cloud, and restoring your database once it's upgraded to the cloud instance, and the next day you can access your data. So this is still a small project. You need to plan, prepare, migrate, test, and switch production. The preparation is all about analyzing what you have today in terms of customizations, what are the integrations, what are the automations and data extractions, and a Flexera expert will be able to either shift or adapt when necessary, when the scripts are not compatible with the cloud because you don't have access directly to the database. Eventually, you will see that many of the reports, custom SQL reports, which will not be kept, actually can be used replaced by out-of-the-box reports because they have been released a lot in the last years. And finally, you can do some cleanup before the migration because you may have some irrelevant data about all the publishers or purchase that you don't want to keep when you will move to the cloud. And then when you migrate to the cloud, there will be a data migration. Then you need to, so this is a database migration I was showing. You need to configure your beacons to no longer point to your application server, but to the new application server. You need to validate, of course, the new system and archive eventually the legacy environment. So this is a project which is not incredible. It's a 3 or 4 weeks project. The technical steps are detailed. This is what I already described. So the history data will be kept for 3 months for the inventory data and will be kept forever for all the licensing data, such as licenses, purchase, contracts. There is no cleanup, but the millions of rows of history data related to, for instance, applications will be kept only for the last 3 months to sort of make the database a little bit easier. Okay, so I will not show, but here it shows how you can point the beacons to Flexera One while they were initially pointed to the application server. So these are the steps that you have.
All right.
I'm done. Sorry for being a little bit over time.
No worries. No, it's amazing content. You do an amazing job of simplifying, and I know our customers appreciate it. So I think that's a wrap. There was some questions about links and access to the demo, but I think we answered that. You showed that, and until next month, here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mark, for having me. And yeah, don't hesitate to follow up if you have questions. You have our email addresses on screen. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Cheers.
Mark. Bye. Cheers.